In 2019, on New Year's Day, I was at my parents' house in Edinburgh and I was really, really ill. The kind of ill where you need to take sedatives in the day and sleeping pills at night. And I was just very unwell. It was not long after actually getting a mental illness, like a diagnosis, which is quite a complex one with personality disorder, as well as depression and anxiety and PTSD. So it was New Year's Day in Edinburgh and the Looney Duke, which some of you, I imagine, have any of you been to Looney Duke? I'd love to know. Anyway, it's a huge swim on New Year's Day when hundreds of people run into the sea. And I don't really know why I did it, but I decided that I would do it, even though I was really unwell at the time. And I ran into the sea that day with all of these people, even though I had like crippling social anxiety at the time. And this is me actually on that day in the pictures. And I looked so happy because I came out of the sea. I probably was only in there for about a minute, but when I came out, I felt calmer than I'd felt probably in years. And that was kind of the beginning of the addiction. And I promised myself that year I would swim in cold water every month. I ended up doing a lot more than that, but I wanted other people to have that experience and to feel like they were allowed to have that experience, I suppose, that they would be welcome no matter how they were feeling, even if they were like me, feeling totally batshit crazy. So yeah, that's why I started it. And then the first actual mental health swim was in September 2019. I just put a call out on Instagram and asked if anyone would like to come, and kind of told them that I would have a giant pink pirate flag on the beach so they'd be able to find me. And yeah, loads of people came. It was amazing. So yeah. Why did you start
So
swimming?
that was the
Yeah.
start of the pink pirate flag.
Can you say that again, Owen?
Yeah, I didn't realise I didn't realise that was the start of the big pink pirate flag. I didn't realise that was the start of the big pink pirate flag.
Ah, yes. Well, I don't know about anyone else, but the idea of going along to a group, which is for peer support for your mental health, the idea of going to a beach and having to guess who that group is terrified me. So I wanted to make sure that anyone coming would actually know it was me. So I said I would stand on the beach with a giant pink pirate flag. And yes, that's where that started. And that's why I always encourage people to bring a big pirate flag, even if they want to make their own. Just makes it less scary, I think. I think Owen's disappeared. Hold on. So at the beginning of lockdown, there was only my swim, which I did once a month on the last Sunday of the month in Swansea. But during lockdown last year, I can't believe it's nearly been a year. It's absolutely, I just can't believe it. So I had my one swim during lockdown. I then started doing online swims, which meant everyone either being in a cold shower or sitting in a tub in their garden. It was really good fun. And I think that probably helped get the word out. And by the end of lockdown, there was so many people who wanted to run their own swim. So we went from having one swim to having, I think, 30 across the UK. And now, in less than a year, we have 70 swims across the UK. And we're still growing, which is kind of crazy. I'm just going to put the chat up in case anyone wants to ask any questions. If I can figure out how to do it.
I'm just going to interject a second. Owen, he has some technical issues. He's dropped out and he's rejoining. So yeah,
No problem.
he'll be back with us in a second. So I'm really sorry, guys.
Yeah, hold on. If I get the chat up, then you guys can ask. Is there a way, Matt, of getting the chat up while the big screen is on?
I don't know if you can do that whilst you're screen sharing. So you may need to come out.
No worries.
But that's fine.
I think it's possible if you hover at the top of the screen, and then I think it brings up some more options even when you're screen sharing. So if you just like hover right at the top, and it might bring you up some more options.
Got it. There we go. Hello, a question for Rachel. Is mental health swims aimed at people with psychiatric conditions, mental ill health and mental illness? Or is it more about mental well-being and mental fitness? The term mental health used to be about the former, but now seems to be more about the latter. That is a great question. I think, no, not necessarily. I think it is a space for, we all have mental health. Sometimes it's not so good and sometimes it's better. Just like we all have physical health. But I think it's a space which is for mental health, but also a space which should be welcoming for all sorts of different people, including people who live with mental illness. Yeah, I think it's more as well about, I think we need spaces which welcome everyone. I think that was the reason I wanted to do it, because I think living with a mental illness, which for me, I have a personality disorder, which is possibly one of the most stigmatized mental illnesses out there. And coming to terms with having the diagnosis was really hard because of the shame. And I really wanted there to be places where people could come and feel that they were allowed to join in, and they could come whether they're feeling manic, depressed, anxious, whatever feeling, and know that they would be welcome there. Hi, Owen, you're back.
Oh, I'm sorry. I hope you're all right. Sorry. Yeah, I think I've got a bit of internet problems, but hopefully we'll be okay.
No problem. I will just keep rambling on if need be. Okay. Hold on. I was just talking about the growth of the swim, and whoops, I keep accidentally moving it. Sorry, guys. Oh, is this the right one? Oh, I close the chat. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I don't know about you, Owen, but has your
how many swim groups are there now?
70 across the UK and beyond. So quite a few now. What about yours? Because you've got, I remember we met, I actually met Owen, was it last summer? Anyway, we met and we had a swim together with my partner, and Owen was telling me about yours, and you were saying you had a huge group, the soup group. Okay, I will keep rambling. So yeah, I think there's been
there's over there's almost 7,000 people in.
Wow, that's a lot, and that's just in the Sheffield area.
Yeah, that's right, just in Sheffield.
It's huge. Yeah, because there's 100% increase in swimming, or is it 300%? I think it might be 300. Oh, okay. Owen said that he'll send me questions on here. Let's see. Yes, please, Owen. That would be great.
Okay.
How do the groups work? So the groups work I think they need a lot of work. I'll be completely honest. I think at the moment they're run, it's peer support. So peer support means that you are, rather than someone sort of being there, it's sort of that you're supporting one another rather than having someone who is an expert, which is kind of more patient-led, I suppose, which I think is really, really powerful. I think a lot of us want to empower ourselves and empower the people around us rather than being rescued. I think we want to have the strength to look after ourselves. So the groups are all peer support, and we also have, so it's all, at the moment, we have hosts, and they're to be a welcoming face. So they're the people that are on the beach or wherever it is, because they're not all beaches, and they're to be there to be welcoming. Oh, question. Do you think it is the cold water or being in nature? I think it's both, and I don't think a cold bath is as good. I think a lot of us feel a lack of connection with ourselves, with other people, with the environment. And I think it means that we just want to feel connection. And I don't know about you, but for me, and I think that's a really interesting thing actually, is why people do come to cold water, because there's so many different reasons. Like some people because they're grieving, some people because of hormonal issues, some because of chronic pain, some people because they want somewhere where they connect with other people because they feel isolated and lonely. But for me, I think it's having the mental illness that I have means that I live in a very up and down way in my moods and in the way that I feel and how I perceive the world and perceive myself and other people. So for me, going in the water, it's a strange kind of, it forces me to be in my body more than anything else. And also I can't do meditation and I can't do mindfulness. They make me dissociate, and dissociation is a part of my mental illness, which means I sort of zone out or feel a bit switchy, if that makes any sense at all. So for me, walking into cold water, you're told to concentrate on your breath, but sometimes I think that can be really difficult if you live with mental illness. But when you walk into water, it starts at your toes and you gradually, the water goes up your whole body, and last of all, it's this area where your breath is. And I find that personal to me works best. I'm just looking at this. What is your most memorable and best swimming experience? I think probably my best and most memorable experience. Last year, me and my partner, we went for a swim in a storm. You need to be very careful when you do things like that. I did that just with my partner, and it was pouring down with rain. It was at Roverslade Beach, which is beautiful. It's near where we live. And swimming in the rain, you know, with the raindrops bouncing in my face. It was amazing. I did then get sick afterwards, so I think probably there was a lot of sewage in the water, but it was a beautiful, beautiful swim. I'm just seeing here, what is it about?
Rachel, I'm gonna. It's Matt again here. If you want, I'm not sure. Owen's trying to sort his connection out and get back online. But in the meantime, if it's easier, I can ask you the questions. I don't know if you prefer to read them and ask them or have them asked of you.
Ask away. I would love if you would ask them, because
okay.
No, I don't need to look at my phone.
I won't put myself on camera. People don't need to see me, but they can listen to me. Okay. What is it about cold water that helps us physically and mentally?
Well, this was the bit that Owen was very kindly going to do. So one of our directors is an amazing man called Mark Harper, and he's actually an anaesthetist, and he's been doing research into keeping patients warm while they're under in operations, and somehow that ended up being research into making people cold for their mental health. And he's amazing. And there's a great video, which I think Owen has kindly linked for you all somewhere. Is that right, Matt? Is it somewhere?
It is, yeah. Towards the end of the talk, we will post a bunch of links in the chat, but don't worry, we will also follow up with an email through Eventbrite. So you'll get an email, excuse me, with a whole load of links, and also links to the previous talks we've done and what we do in the future and stuff. So lots of resources on there. So don't panic if you don't see it in the chat. We'll email it to you.
Amazing. Yeah, so I think, again, what I was saying about lots of people coming for different reasons. For some people, and interestingly, I think that's why Owen likes it, because he feels a kind of a natural high, which a lot of people feel. I think it's our natural painkillers coming in. And I know that Owen said he loves that kind of rush. It's almost like taking drugs. But for some people, it can be, it's much more calming. For others, it's a way of being mindful. So cold water. So before this actual talk, I had a hot bath, but with a cold shower on my head, just to like calm my brain before talking to hundreds of people. But yeah, so it resets our vagus nerve, I think. That's right. Owen was going to do this bit for me, but there's a brilliant video that you can have a look at of Mark Harper talking about it. One of the really interesting things he said, though, was that it helps us manage day-to-day stresses, because it's stressful on our body getting into cold water, and that builds up this amazing resistance in us. So then when we encounter other stresses in our life, we're more able to manage them. I thought that was amazing, really interesting. And I was looking back over my time of swimming in cold water and thinking that it's definitely helped that. I don't know, like, why do all of you cold water swim? I'm sure there's lots of you out there. I would love to know why you do. I think also the community is the biggest thing. Hold on, I think this is the healing power of cold water and community. Here we go. So I think it's having a space where you're doing something really difficult, because getting into cold water is difficult. But when you're doing it with other people, it's so much easier. And there's something, it takes the stress off, I think, having to make conversation. You can kind of have a lovely little chat while you're getting changed. You have a little chat while you're walking down the beach, commenting on the weather in a very British way. And then when you get in the water, there's all of the chat about it being bloody cold and, you know, getting you right between the legs. And then who's having a pee in the water? All of those things that you chat about, which I think makes you feel that you're part of something. Which, when you live with mental health challenges, or even, you know, mental health niggles, it's a nice way of connecting with nature and with yourself and with other people again.
I think I just want to interject here and just say you're doing an awesome job given the technical difficulties. And but also it's quite resonant with the fact that I don't know if you're able to keep tabs on the chat, but the chat's going berserk on the side here, and I can share it with you afterwards, and it's very much a community feeling to it. So you might feel all alone sitting there in Swansea talking into the camera, but there's a lot of people listening in, and we are really interested. So thank you. So next question. So Owen's starting to feed some questions through to me on WhatsApp as well now. So he's having continued technical difficulty. So we'll continue like this. And we'll work with the technology. Okay, so are mental health swims about cold water swimming or open water swimming, or are they both?
I think the swims part of our name is not helpful, because we are most definitely dipping, and we're really inviting people to come along and maybe even paddle. or not even get in the water, but join us for a chat on the beach and a litter pick. It's really not massively about, I think it's a lovely side to it, but really it's about making welcoming spaces for people and letting them be a part of something. So yeah, we're not open water swimming at all.
I'm fully with you on the dipping. I've been going in every day myself for the past 2 months, and people keep asking me if I've been for a swim, and I very much correct them and say no, I've been for a dip.
Absolutely.
It's a fast flowing river and I'm literally in and out in about 15 seconds, but it does the trick for me. I think you may have already covered this one, but it says, Rachel, would you agree that you have a better control on your life with swimming, because you need to have control when you're in the water, breathing, the feeling, and the surrendering to nature?
Yes. I also think I haven't actually been swimming in a few weeks now because of lockdown in Wales, and we're not really supposed to drive anywhere. And I think it has given me courage, which is probably past the physiological changes in my body. I think going and joining in with something, with a community, and feeling like that I belong somewhere has given me more courage than anything else in the world. And I think it probably, you could transfer those sort of things, not just to swimming, but to just being brave. I think like we can't be brave unless we also feel really scared sometimes. And I think we need more spaces out there where we can welcome people and let them find their courage.
Before the next question, I'm just going to go back to a lady called Daphne who took the mick and said that 15 seconds doesn't even classify as a dip. Daphne, if you want to come swim with me in the morning, you can get in the river with me and see how far down river you travel in 15 seconds. It's quite scary. There's been a lot of water in the river lately and it's pretty exciting. Anyway, I'm not affronted.
You have to cling onto the side, Matt.
I did the other day. I brought a friend down with me whilst the river was in flood, and I held onto the tree and let my legs kind of flow out in the middle of the river, and it was pretty exciting. Anyway, it's not about me. So Owen has asked, what's the community aspect like? He says, how do you balance different people's preferences, like people who want to chat and others who want to be quiet?
I think naturally some people talk more and others can be nice and peaceful. I think, again, we say peer support and that makes people thinking, oh my God, do I have to come and shock horror talk about my feelings? But the reality is that, like I was saying, we're talking about how cold the water is and having grumbles about our week, but it's there and it's unsaid, that we're all there for the same reason. And that if you did want to talk, you would be understood. But yeah, some people don't talk at all. I mean, I am very talkative, so I will always try and get conversation out of anyone. I don't know if that's appreciated or not, but I still do. But yeah, we have some people who are very chatty and some people who are not, and that's absolutely fine. I'd much rather that people came and they were however they were feeling. I think there's so many situations in life where we have to wear a mask, and I think wearing that mask was the thing that made me so ill in the past. And actually these days I try and say, you know, I feel really crap or I'm really anxious. And we've had some really cool opportunities through mental health swims, one of which was there's an amazing director who wants to make a documentary about mental health swims, which is really exciting. And he asked if I would be in it, and I was a bit scared, but I said, well, you'll just have to take me however I am that day. And if I'm not feeling great, I will be honest about it. And I think we can all learn from just being ourselves, being true to who we are, and finding people who love and accept us as that person with all of our big feelings. Yeah, anyway, that was very kumbaya.
Okay, a couple of questions about the kind of the actual running of the mental health swims, in particular with regard to kind of health and safety. Someone said, is there anyone who takes responsibility for the different elements and support anyone who becomes distressed?
Well, no one has ever. We have at the moment I'm very, very glad that we have lockdown at the moment, because there's so many things that we're putting in place now. And we've got a great group of directors, and also we're all volunteers. We're all doing it because we want to do it. And at the moment, we are catching up with ourselves, because we are now a social enterprise, and all of those really important things need to be implemented. So we are catching up, and we've just applied for lots of funding, and hopefully that'll mean that we can do that catching up a little bit faster. But this break has actually been a blessing for us. We've got some training coming up. Mind have very kindly given us mental health first aid training. We've also got a mental health first aid trainer on our actual board, and he's going to be doing some great training. And we have amazing coaches volunteering for us, and we're going to hopefully make some training videos, which I'm very excited about. But partly we ask that everybody enters the water at their own risk, but that I am feeling more and more as we are growing, and now that we're a social enterprise isn't enough. So there is going to be lots of changes this year, because we want to grow, we want to get bigger, we want to get better, we want to get safer. And so that stuff will happen. But it's been good having this time.
Because you
Okay,
partially,
yeah.
you've just touched on this a little bit, but someone said, have you got any exciting, well, what exciting plans do you have for 2021, COVID notwithstanding? Obviously, the bit you just talked about is a bit boring, but necessary. What about the fun stuff?
We're going to, there's been a few interested parties in doing some documentaries and things. There is one already happening probably, which is really exciting, and will be on the telly, which feels really big, and I don't know, I can't really believe it. Also, hopefully we're going to get funding, which will mean we can actually do all of these big plans that we've got. I hope we grow a bit more, and I would love, what I really, really want to do is have like a meetup, maybe book out a campsite and all meet up. I think that would be really good fun. Maybe climb up some hills together. What other big things? I'm trying to think. I don't know. I think I've answered this screen. I'm just going for. Oh yeah, and I hopefully social prescribing is something that we're looking into now, and more storytelling. This lovely, lovely woman on the right of your screen is Nina, and Nina is our inclusivity advocate, and she's been interviewing amazing people, amazing swimmers from different marginalized groups. Because a big part of what we want to do is become more welcoming, because as you're probably all really aware, the outdoor community, you know, what's presented, it's got a lot better since like this year, I think, but it's still very, very white. And we want to tell the stories of the people who come from different groups. We think that's really important. I mean, I think probably 95% of our community is white. There's a really, really small part of us, like there's just a few of us who are brown. And it's really funny, recently, who was it I saw? I went and did an interview with my partner. It was actually her. She's like co-founder of a surfing zine for like cold water women. And she was getting interviewed, and I went along, and the woman interviewing her was also brown, and it was like, oh, a brown person in the wild, you know, like when you see that, when you see someone else, it's really exciting, because it can be hard being the only brown face at most things that you go to. Always feeling, also like for me, like I'm fat and gay, so with a mental illness, I really know what it feels like to not fit in. And I think it's really important we tell the stories of, you know, that we give a voice to people who've had that experience. And, you know, make it easier for people to feel like they can come and join in. Also in Swansea, we've signed a pledge with Swansea as a City of Sanctuary, which is a project that works with asylum seekers. So post-COVID, when we can again, there was talk of us being able to have taxis with asylum seekers to come and join as well. So it's kind of getting everything in place, all the safety, all of that, so that we can welcome more and more people. And also with Mark Harper on our board, we'd really like to be able to get involved in some research and, you know, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Awesome. That actually answers another question someone asked about research, so you've ticked that one. I'm just going to plug next Monday's talk there off the back of the conversation that you've just been talking about, the answer you just gave. Next Monday's talk with Owen will be Ed Okura talking about, well, he's the co-founder of Black Swimmers Association. So I'm really interested to kind of listen to that as well. So I guess that probably hits a lot of buttons. We don't need to go too much into it now, but if anyone's interested in talking about the kind of demographic of the wild swim community, then yeah, tune in next week. Okay, so next question from Owen. Each host is kind of linked to a swim spot, is that right?
Yes.
And do you think there will be a time when multiple hosts use the same swim spot but meeting at different times?
I think probably it's more likely that they will work together to make sure that there's more people supporting one group. I think that would be the ideal. And also possibly with an open water coach at the same time. We want there to be lots and lots of support for the groups, and another way of us being as safe as possible.
Okay, next question. Related, I think, or perhaps a single host meets different swim spots. Just wondering if the host will have their own groups or will they work together? I think you just answered that. Yeah. Okay, are you working at providing any training?
Yes, so we are going to be doing, I think, 3 sessions of training probably in February. We feel it's really difficult at the moment. I don't know, because lockdown is really hard on everyone's mental health, and it's a lot to ask of people to also do training while they're struggling with living through a global pandemic. And I think also because most people are having to do like all their work through Zoom, it's a lot. And we have found that a lot of our volunteers are really struggling too. So I think me being me, I get excited and hope that we can do everything right now. And actually, the most important thing always is everyone's mental health. And so we've just pushed that back just now. But the training is going to be mental health first aid training. It's going to be like basic water safety, especially because we've got a lot of new people who are going to be starting. And also we're working with this amazing, it's similar to Eventbrite. I don't want to say that because that feels that shouldn't really be comparing them. But they're called More Human, and it was set up by a group of people, and they've had funding. And so we're going to be working with them as well. And that will allow us to do a suggested donation. We still want them to be free for people to come to, but if people can afford it, it would help massively because it's a lot of work. Like, I've been doing this for about a year now, and it keeps me quite busy. So we're hoping that we can get a little bit more money so that we can do all of the things we really want to do. I don't know if I rambled off there, by the way. Sorry.
No, not at all. I'm just I'm listening to you and chatting to Owen on WhatsApp as well. He's going to attempt to come back in now, so we'll see whether it works. Great. If it doesn't, we'll continue with what we're doing now. So. Okie dokie. Owen, are you there? I think yeah. I don't know what's happening. He said he can hear fine, but every time he speaks, it tries to kick him out. So.
Oh dear.
Okay. Well. Okay. Technology. I said to someone else earlier this week, it always feels like we're one step behind technology, doesn't it? It always work exactly how you want it to be. How do people become swim hosts, and what do you look for in a host?
So to become a swim host, you need to do an application. The application is just really to check that you're a super duper lovely person who's empathetic and understands what it feels like when it's scary to go and join a group. You don't have responsibility for anyone else in terms of safety, but you do, you're there to be a welcoming, kind person. And we share all of those stories on our Instagram feed so that people feel that the host that they're going to meet, they kind of know a little bit about them and that they understand what it is to live with mental health challenges. So yeah, you have to do an application, and then you can start. We're now doing training before people can actually start. So we're going to be catching up by training all 70 and the new people. And then that's how it will go. Like in the future, you will have to do training before you actually start. And I think in the future, we're also going to join people up with an open water coach. And hopefully, and anyone listening to this, I don't know how much I could depend on it, but it would be amazing to have some volunteer lifeguards if you're interested. Also, with the suggested donation, we would be able to have pay for a lifeguard, which would be really amazing, and just make sure that we're being as super safe as possible.
Right, I'll mute myself. Okay, next question from Owen. He wasn't able to rejoin us. Don't know what's going on. Sorry, guys. Do you encourage people to use the group as a springboard for more independent swims and dips? Like maybe join their local mental health swims, but also find a pal to go swimming in between for organised swims?
Oh, I hope so. I think most people do. It's really funny. I love when someone comes along to a group. We wouldn't recommend starting at the moment, by the way. It's much better to start in summer when the water isn't absolutely freezing. But like last summer when lockdown ended and we could actually start the swims again, there was this one woman who came, and because I still host one in Swansea, and she came on the first swim and she sent me a message before, and she was so worried about it and so anxious about coming along. And just, I think we were all feeling a bit shell-shocked after being, at home for months. But she came along, and after she'd been in the sea, she was so happy. And then I bumped into her the next week, and she had been every day that week. And she'd gone and joined the Blue Tits as well, of the amazing Blue Tits, which was really, really cool. So yes, I think people come and it gives them a bit of confidence to then, and they make friends. It's such a great community. People, I've met so many lovely people. The wild swim community is amazing.
I guess one of the big questions that I guess most people are going to have, which I've got as well, is how do you go about finding swim local to you?
With slight difficulty at the moment. Owen sweetly said before this, shall I share the Mental Health Swims website? And it is, some of the swims are on there, but not all of them. The biggest thing that we want to sort this year is a functioning kind of online hub where it's super easy to access information. At the moment, follow us on Instagram. We're Mental Health Swims on Instagram. Send us a DM and we can guide you to the right swim. I can send you links.
Thank you. I guess slightly related, social media. You've got your own social media pages, but actually that can come with brings issues with it as well. So how do you balance the positives and the negatives of social media?
Oh, I know, I agree. And this is, again, the reason that we really need money so that we can make this online platform. So we've already spoken to some amazing user experience designers, and they're specialists in accessibility, because what we really, really want is to create something which lots of people can access. It's really cool, actually. One of our swims now has a sign language interpreter. We kind of want to encourage more and more and more of that sort of, making things as accessible as possible. What did you ask me again, Nat?
How do you balance the positives and negatives
of social media? Yeah, it's really hard. I think the thing that we do try and do is share stories. I think that's where social media is powerful, is sharing stories about real people from lots of different backgrounds, to help people feel less alone. So we try and do that. I hate all the kind of, I'm trying to be better at it. We have a social media team, but I hate all the like tagging of brands and things. Like it all just, it makes me unhappy, but I'm trying to go with the flow a bit more on that, because really we need to collaborate with people in that way. But I think anything where you're kind of bigging up stuff that not everyone can afford is unfair. I think people, you know, also even like one of the things we really want to do is try and get flasks for all of the swim hosts so that they can make a hot drink for everyone in their swim, because we assume that people will have a flask, but they might not. In the same way, like it's great when people bring a dressing gown because that's what they've got. I think we have to be careful not to kind of, you know, make it seem like you need to have all the special kit to be allowed to join in. You should be allowed to join and, you know, just be you. So that's why I want to have flasks, so that ideally, you know, all the hosts will be able to make a drink, because that's a lovely social thing as well, coming together at the end. And lots of hosts bring cake, which I think is really good. Cake and tea makes a good.
Yeah, I'm with you on the brands thing. I struggle with it on social media, but at the same time, there's definitely value in it. I'm just thinking straight off the bat. I'm thinking, if you've got a need for flasks, there will be somebody out there. There will be a brand out there who will be willing and happy to sponsor mental health swims with some flasks that can go to each host. So
yeah, one of our amazing fundraisers. She's absolutely brilliant. We've got a really amazing team, but she has already been on the hunt for flasks. Like, she's awesome. We are very lucky with our volunteers, so I don't have to be involved in those bits, which is quite nice.
Just taking it back a little bit more old school, someone's made the kind of really valid point here and said, have you got any plans to reach out to people and communities that aren't online? I realize it's hard this because you are all volunteers and there's only so much you can do, but it is kind of important that not everyone has access to what we're doing now.
100%. I was desperate for like lockdown to end so that I could go around some community centres. I want to, like, that is a big part of where we want to go. It's like there's so many spaces, and I want to go and visit like all the local mines. It'd be great to go to some, you know, colleges and universities, but also, like I was saying, the Swansea is a city of sanctuary, which is the project which is working with asylum seekers in Swansea that we've signed a pledge with. Like, there's so many people out there who they're not part of this world. So we need to actually go and say, like, hello, this is awesome. you know, I think that would be a good thing to do later on. And I hope that I'll be able to do that. Mind have asked me if I would go and talk for them, which is very scary. But I think that would be useful as a different audience. Oh, I've just seen here as well, social prescribing. So that would be when you go to your GP and they get you in touch with social prescribers, and they will like do an assessment, and then you could then go and do an introduction to cold water swimming. That would be absolutely amazing if we can do that in the future. It would be really wonderful. So I'm hoping we can do that as well. Yeah.
I think what you were just saying then about actually going out into communities is amazing. I've been doing that from the Sheffield Adventure Film Festival for the past year. Well, not for the past year, but before that, for about 6 months before, we'd take the films into local schools. Now I realise it's not the same. You're not necessarily targeting kids, although maybe there is room for that. But yeah, I can't back that enough. Like, the more you can get out there and talk to people, the more rewarding it is. It's fantastic. So I'm really glad to hear that you're doing that. So Owen's asked here, how do you want the online platform to work that you hope to build? And I want to put a plug in here, because I just find often when you're speaking out to 200, 300, 400 people like you're doing tonight, there might be people out there who can say, oh, we can help with that. So don't be shy on what you want to do with this stuff, because there will be volunteers that step forward from tonight's talk and maybe want to help, maybe build a website. You may already have plans, but yeah, how's it going to work?
Okay, the help that we need. If you wanted to, I don't know, dip in cold water every day, we have amazing, her name's Lauren, and she's been doing it this January. And I think she's raised like £1,500 just like going every single day to Clevedon Marine Lake and dipping in the cold water. I think she's amazing. Like, we're very, very grateful. So it's things like that. We've also got people on our team doing the same, which has been amazing. If you felt like you wanted to raise some money for us, that would be life-changing for mental health swims. Also, if you are a lifeguard, if you're an outdoor swim coach, if you are really into fundraising, you could join our fundraising team. We're always looking for people. We are a very supportive group, and we're also, I hope, really good friends too. So if you're interested, also, we're looking for a new director, if you're interested. We've got a great board of directors. So if you would like to do that, you can send us a CV. But yes, we want to make an online platform which is really accessible, which has the option for each of the swim hosts to have their own page where they can share images from the actual swim, so that people don't have to go on social media, because social media can be so bad for your mental health, and a lot of people try not to be on there. So I think an online platform which has a page for each of the swim hosts with all the information, with kind of feedback as well from participants, so you get a sort of feel of what it's actually like. And I feel like, as a fat person, I don't want to go to a swim where everybody is super buff. I would, and white. I would feel really like the odd one out if I'm the only like unfit brown person there. So like sharing photos and things, so you get a feeling of what that swim might be like. Also on there with a blog with all of the stories that we tell, which I think are really important for making people feel less alone. Also, it would have an interactive map, so you could see really easily where your local swim is, because at the moment it's so confusing. It's a bit of a disaster, and I'm sorry about that. We are working on it. So if you're one of those people, we would love to hear from you.
I've just seen a fab comment on there saying, I'm 10 years old and listening with my mum as I want to get out swimming with her. So yeah, that's probably in relation to the comment I made about whether schools are a valid place, but clearly schools are a valid place to be talking. And especially when schools go back, there's going to be so many kids whose mental health has suffered with homeschooling and lockdown. So yeah, I'd urge you to talk to us if you want to talk about how to get into schools. So you've got a bit of experience of doing it in Sheffield now.
I would love to, Matt. I would absolutely love to.
I've got a comment. Anna has just sent me. Anna, she's my business partner. She's monitoring the thread. She's just sent me this comment, which I'm going to read out to you because you're obviously too busy to look at all the comments. It says, "You're such a bubble of energy, Rachel. I use cold water as a space for my mind only. You have such great capacity to think of others and how you can spread this healing power. Go, girl."
Oh, thank you.
There you go. Oh man, Owen sent a really beefy one here. I'll read it out. I think the proven benefits of outdoor cold water swimming for mental health are really critical in the campaign for opening up more water for free informal swimming, so more people can access those benefits. One issue we have is that in our area, we are all swimming in places where it's not allowed, but the most part publicly accepted. But we're actually not supported by the law to access this water, and sometimes we have to face water company staff or security asking us to get out. They're generally polite, but just the thought of a swim being disrupted in this way is really stressful for a lot of people, and particularly people who swim as a way of managing intense mental health issues. Do you have any idea how we should manage this? on the back of a postcard, please.
That's, you know, I think anxiety is individual to every person. So I think if there was a group of people feeling anxious about that, they should try and have one person who isn't, who could maybe do the talking. I think it's very difficult. I can't speak for everyone, but for myself, I really struggle with feeling welcome anywhere. I'm the kind of person where you invite me for dinner and I arrive at the dinner party and then think, oh my gosh, maybe they invited me by accident. Are there enough chairs at the table? So I think for myself, I never felt welcome anywhere. So the idea of someone coming up and like telling me off for being somewhere I shouldn't be is really scary. I think in that case, what I would say is that in a group of people, everyone will have different anxieties. And I really love the idea that sometimes we're strong and sometimes we're weak. Like we're not all strong and we're not all weak. And I like the idea that when you're feeling strong, that you will try and look after other people. And when you're feeling weak, you'll let others come and like give you a helping hand. So I guess in that situation, for someone who, if there was a group and everyone was very anxious, surely there'll be one person in that group who isn't, who could do all the talking maybe.
Fab answer. I like the way you didn't get into the issue of how we sort out the access for the water, which was a completely different talk we did last Monday. We didn't actually sort it out, but we definitely talked about it. Very important question here. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you? Do they message you on Instagram, email?
Yeah, Instagram, Mental Health Swims, or if it's just me, Little Green Shoot Project, or send me an email or one of our team. So mentalhealthswims@gmail.com.
Okay, another good one from Owen. I don't know if you've gathered by now, but every time Owen tries to get on, it crashes his system. So I don't think, sadly, I don't think he's going to join us tonight. So gutting. Maybe we can do another one. We'll follow up on the stuff in the chat that we didn't get a chance to address. So we are coming to a kind of close now. We've been going for an hour already, so we probably should be wrapping it up in a few minutes' time anyway. Yeah, so question from Owen. Sometimes there are difficulties for swimmers if they love summer swimming and just can't find their groove swimming through the winter, or they love the winter ice baths and they're addicted to cold water and they really miss it when it's balmy in the summer. How can people prepare for this when they're dependent on swimming for managing their mental health? I do like Owen's questions. He always asks questions that no one else can think of.
What do you, I mean, so are they allowed to go in a cold bath? I think even just dunking your head can make a difference. Or I take up running. So I'm like, at the moment, I'm doing couch to 5K and that makes a difference. For people who can't run, I think at the moment, it's really funny, especially at the moment when everyone is feeling much lower than usual, because this is hard on everyone living in a global pandemic. I think we're all realizing that there isn't really a great answer to surviving it. There's just getting through and being kind to yourself. I used to say back in the days when I had days where I was in bed because I was so unwell, like if I was, you know, seeing stuff and hearing things and being really dissociated, I used to say, you can be kind to yourself in a small way, whether it's like, you know, turning your pillow over so you get the cool side of the pillow. But these days, I think fresh air, going for a walk, you know, a quick brisk walk, or even just opening the window and looking outside. It's right now just getting through. But cold baths. I had like I said, a cold shower in a hot bath earlier, which was a nice compromise.
Quite a few people have suggested cold water showers and dunking their feet in cold water.
Yeah.
I've been writing a monthly blog about my observations by the riverbank for my morning swims, and I run as well. I've actually written up in kind of quite excruciating detail the process of going for a run while swimming. Going for a swim whilst running. So if I'm out on a run and I want to go for a swim, and it's certainly when it's cold at this time of year, it's quite important that you kind of do it right. Otherwise you lose feeling in your hands and you kind of, everything goes to pot and you've still got to get home. So I shall be posting that in about a week's time anyway. Yeah, so just quickly, as we kind of draw into a close, before we start losing people off the thread, I just want to do a little bit of housekeeping, because it's really important. That basically ShAFF has taken a bit of a hammering this year. ShAFF, for those of you who don't know, is the Sheffield Adventure Film Festival. So it's taken a big hammering this year. So we're experimenting and branching out, doing these online talks, which have been going amazing. Yeah, so it was free for you guys to register. So if you can afford to donate a little bit, that would be fantastic. We basically split the proceeds. So 50% goes back into supporting ShAFF and putting on more talks like this, and 50% gets shared with the speakers. So the last couple of talks have been raising some really good money. A few people have asked us how much is a good amount to donate. And we think, you know, a £5 is kind of roughly slightly more than a pint in most parts of the country, probably less in some parts. And if everyone donated the cost of a pint, then we'd all be a lot better off, and ShAFF would be in a better standing, and Rachel and Owen, who you know, they could share that money out as they see fit. So that would be fab. Anna's posted the links in the thread as to how to make that donation, but we will also email it out via Eventbrite tomorrow. But you can always check on the ShAFF website or email us if you're not sure how to do it. So I guess that's the end of the housekeeping. Have we got any more questions? I'm just quickly looking back through the thread now. Have you got anything else you want to say, Rachel? I think there's a lot of people in there saying they're really inspired and they've really enjoyed the hour. Someone saying, I'm so excited about the future of mental health swim. So I think, a link to my blog. Yes, I don't know. I'll see if I'll dig that out in a minute and post it on there. Have you got anything else you want to say, Rachel?
Just this last slide, the lockdown life, the amazing inventive ways that people are still getting through lockdown. This is Claudia in her bin, in like surrounded by snow. I absolutely love that picture. I think it's a nice end. And this is Catherine on the right, wearing a hat that her sister made her. She's been doing a dip a day to raise money for us. And she does every Friday, she does Formal Friday. And this was her outfit that day. I just love it. I think it's lovely.
Just posting a link to my blog. There we go. Oh, well, I think I really, really enjoyed that. It was slightly more stressful than normal, because normally I sit back and listen to Owen doing the questions and getting stuck in. So I really hope, thanks for everyone who stuck with us through the technical difficulties and made it through. I hope you got something from it. It looks from the chat like you really have done. Owen's just said a big thank you. Rachel, I didn't know much about mental health swims before today. I know an awful lot more now, and I really wish you all the best with going forwards with it. And as an ex-resident of Swansea, I hope we can meet up for a swim on the beach one day when I come and bring my kids down there to visit.
That would be amazing. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm really sorry if I've just waffled on slightly, but thank you. I really enjoyed it.
Not in the slightest. And yeah, by all means, say thank you to Rachel in the chat, or you can unmute your microphones and try it if you want. But now everyone's going to do it at the same time. So bye, everybody. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Rachel.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Rachel.
Thank you.
Thank you. So inspiring, Rachel.
Thank you.
Keep on going.
Thank you.
Oh.
Bye.